Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. Uh, Before we start our session today, we'll start off with a thought experiment and a thought activity. So, uh, yeah. So I would want all of you to just think about one thing that happened to me this week. So I've been a rural development consultant for quite a bit now, and I was in Bangalore for some time. And I came to Bangalore this week to meet a few friends and catch up with some ex-colleagues. And while I was here, there was one colleague who was like, you know what? I have a brilliant idea to solve the migration issues from UP Bihar. We'll solve all of that. And I was like, wow, that is really, really amazing that you're able to think so much. And then he went on to explain what is the problem. And then he was able to address a lot of these issues. But then I asked him, have you been to UP or Bihar? And he said, no. And that made me think, is it okay to solve a problem without actually being in it? You're solving world health issues, you're solving hunger issues, but you don't know the reality. So that is something for you to think about. Tomorrow, all of you are going to solve some problem or the other. And now, when you do so, isn't it important for you to picture and imagine yourself in the solution, be a part of the place? I'll give you one more example, and then we'll proceed with the presentation. And this is about an earthquake that happened in 2013. This earthquake happened in China, and what happened was 5,000 people were displaced, over 300 people died. And what happened? The entire Chinese population stood up and they decided we will fight it. What happened? A lot of volunteers decided we will go to the place where the earthquake has happened and we will give our shramdan. Shramdan is basically we'll give our labor over there. Then there were people who donated in two types. One, in a lot of money, and number two, they gave a lot of clothes and in kind. Now, what happened will surprise you. When the actual ambulance and the materials were supposed to go to that hill town, there was a huge traffic jam. And you know why the traffic jam happened? Because volunteers drove their car to a hill. And with so many volunteers going to the hill, the actual medicine and ration support did not reach there. Now, this is what I want you to think right now. Well, was the intention of people bad here? But sometimes people just don't understand what they are solving for. That empathy that is required is missing. The root problem that was supposed to be addressed was not being addressed at all. So therefore, when people have the best intentions, they are still not able to solve for a situation. So your intentions do matter. But if you don't understand where you're coming from, it does not matter. So now we'll start our presentation with a small introduction of myself. So I'm Ankit. I am an engineer by education and a change maker by choice. I graduated. Okay, this one. Okay. I graduated from MIT Manipal in the year 2015. I spent about 4 years in Bangalore working with startups and corporates. And I had a moment and an epiphany where I decided I want to take up something interesting, something new, something challenging. And that's where I took up a fellowship called the Youth for India Fellowship. This is for all the people who have absolutely no idea about rural development, social change, nothing. You go there and you experience it. So I did the same. I went to Rajasthan, packed my bags, and I was associated with an NGO called Barefoot College. And during this time, I spent quite a bit of time understanding what happens in Rajasthan. Absolutely surreal place. I enjoyed every single bit of it. And a little more, I love to garden and I love to play football, and I really love, I'm a big foodie also. So wherever I go, I eat a lot of local food. And now a little bit more about Barefoot College. So this is the place that changed my perspective about everything. So Barefoot College is one of those places where you are trained to imagine. This is the place where you come to create, you come to learn from failures, you come to fail and learn and express whatever you are doing, whatever you are not doing. And Barefoot College was established by 50 years ago by a wonderful gentleman called Bankar Roy. He's a Padma Shri Award winner. He's been a part of a lot of activities. He's been a part of the he's been a part of so many foundations, and he's inspired so many leaders to come and pick up the social cause. Now this community based organization has a wonderful bottoms up type of management. Bottoms up type of management is not what managers or directors think, but what people in the grassroots, what they feel, what they face, they escalate it to one level above the other, and then it comes up as a policy. So Barefoot College is one of those places where you absolutely learn, you absolutely spend time, and whatever happens, whatever the end product of Barefoot College is what the community wants. It's never what you want or you feel what is best for the community, but it is the other way around. And they work in 7 different thematic areas. They started off with water, because Rajasthan, there was a water issue. Then they moved to a lot of other areas. They started off with education, health, solar, and environment. Now, very recently, they started off with waste management as well. So the next thing is we'll cover today's presentation will essentially be about 5 things. So what can you expect? First, we'll try to understand whenever you're here doing social innovation, you need to understand you're solving for something. So you need to solve a problem. Now there are various types of problems. So we'll understand what each type of problem is. Then we'll try to pinpoint why and what is the root cause of these problems. All right. And then we'll go to a brief element of design thinking. Design thinking is a beautiful concept. I would take a longer duration of time to explain design thinking, so that we could do for a subsequent class. But right now, I think what we would do is we would cover the basics of design thinking. What are the key principles? And we'll do 3 case studies. So these case studies are essentially what I did at Barefoot College, what my team did at Barefoot College, and what people around me did. We will cover about what went well, what went wrong, based on what we are learning today. And then we'll have a group activity. So group activity would be something based on whatever we are learning today. So to start off, we'll start off with what is social innovation. And now to make this very, very interactive, the floor is open to you all, because there is no pakka definition of social innovation. It just happens. So we could have some volunteers. If you have some ideas about what social innovation could be, you could shoot some suggestions and throw it my way, and we'll work around a definition of social innovation. Yeah, please.
So like I'm working with the Blue Cross for that. So for the future, so like since 2014, I'm associated with that, and I save almost 70 to 80 dollars. So it's kind of service which I'm providing not for the humans but for the animals who cannot escape. So like that kind of innovation I wanted to bring for the all people, and I wanted to do something for them. So like there is an idea for that, and I think we can form a chain, so that like what if I'm leading some people, I'm recommending them like if you do that, we can save more us, and we can save them. So yes, what.
So thank you so much. That's a wonderful definition, and congratulations, you've saved 80 street dogs so far. That's really commendable. And so her definition of social innovation is you're adding something to better your giving a product or a service to improve the lives of the community or the greater society.
Whenever we talk about the social welfare, we always think about the human.
Right.
But we didn't think about the other animals who also share the planet. So I just wanted to be the voice of voiceless animals.
Absolutely. That is, so it is not just the community, but the greater community. Greater community could be a lot of things. It could be trees, it could be the animals out there, it could be any other element in the society that's usually often neglected. So it could be water bodies. So all these things are definitely a part of this system. So thank you so much. And what's your name, ma'am? Doctor? Parul Dixit. Thank you so much for bringing that across. So very well said. There is no, so if you ask me what is social innovation, I think whatever Dr. Parul told is absolutely spot on. And I'll tell you, we are at a juncture in time where we are extremely lucky to be or witness social innovation, because right now we are in the middle of the largest social movement that the world has ever seen. And I'll tell you why. Now you see, Dr. Parul here has saved 80 dogs, right? She has done that. And I'm pretty sure if the audience can, if you have done something uh, according to you, what could be a social innovation, and you've added value, I think the mic is open. Can anybody, would anybody add something? Yeah.
During my graduation, me and my team, we adopted a village for a week, sir. So there we had a number of programs. Yeah, sir. So we adopted a village for a week. So the village is a little bit kind of a tribal village. So when we went there, we went as to create some social awareness. What basically people don't know about hygiene or anything. But the moment we went there, so we were in the uniform, like we were in the. I was in the NCC of my college. So they got attracted towards us. So when we started doing some social innovations regarding the hygiene or anything which is helpful for their betterment, so it is not that easy, sir, because people were living from the past in a way that has to be changed. So we help them in maintaining the hygiene within their house, their personal hygiene. How can they wash their hands, or how can they dress up, and how can they maintain hygiene whenever they go out and come to home. Right. So this is what this may be little impact, sir, but for further purpose, it is very helpful for them.
Thank you so much, Satyanarayan. I think this is amazing. It's not a little impact. There is no little impact. That is what I'm trying to tell you. There is no little impact. Everything makes sense. So today we have two social innovators. Do we have more here? Can you please pass the mic?
So my name is Yashasri, and in my graduation, I was working with an NGO called Guardians of Youth. It works in like 3 cities of Cochin, Bangalore, and Chennai. I was in the Bangalore one, and every evening after college, I used to go all the way to MG Road to teach Muslim kids in madrasa over there. And that was an orphanage basically where I used to volunteer. So when pandemic hit us, we were all celebrating the fact that we are having online lectures and everything. But on the other end, there were children out there which did not have any source of food or education or shelter per se. So we as a team and my the head over there in the NGO, they trained all of us and we did a crowdfunding for 7 lakhs and we were able to acquire laptops for them. And post that, we also took interviews for the people. Uh, Frankly, I am 20 and I took an interview of a person who is an MBA graduate and is working in Infosys right now. And we hired him as a teacher over there, and we trained them to teach how to deal with small children and how to actually impart education to children who are like 5 years old or in fourth grade, and what kind of questions they ask. And it was kind of very overwhelming at at that age that I did something. So I think I did a really something and I've brought a smile on my children. And I don't volunteer right now because I'm here, but I hope wherever my children are, they're getting the best education they get and probably the future is brighter with them.
Firstly, a big round. Absolutely, very, very inspirational. At the age of 20, you were able to do that. I mean, that is just wonderful. So this is another example of a leader here, another example of a social innovation at a different level. At the age of 20, she was able to raise 7 lakhs and she was so dedicated to the cause that she was able to give laptops to the people. And when the pandemic was happening, she was able to bring in a new type of innovation. Well, it may not be new for you all, but it is definitely new for them, and then she got it done. And that is another example of a great innovator, a great leader. So absolutely amazing, great job. And so here again, like I'll just continue with this. Today we are in a place where we are seeing the largest social movement, and it's because of leaders like these sitting here. We have 3 already, and I don't know if there are more Chuparustams here, but we have 3 here who have come and spoken about what they've done. Now, very, very similar to this, today there are millions, if not more, organizations that are working towards causes. Now, the causes could be anything, but they are working towards societal or environmental benefit. And today, we don't see a huge leader, we don't see a huge poster of social innovation, but we see many, many people coming up and working towards it. So that is social innovation right now. And there are 3 important things of social innovation. Very, very important things here. If you want to do social innovation, you need to take care of 3 points. First, the most important point, you need to add value. If you are creating a product that no one's going to use, if you're creating a solution that no one wants, there is no point. That is very, 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 very important. You add value. Now, next one is impact. Whatever you're doing, if it does not impact anybody, then it's not social innovation. It's innovation for sure. There are a lot of companies doing amazing things. But social innovation, you're playing with people's lives, you're changing systems. The impact has to happen. All right. And the third thing is scalability and growth factor. If you're able to do something and it's not sustainable, what will happen is the legacy dies with you. It does not translate down. Today, if I do a movement or if I do start something on my own, and while I'm there, it's running, and as soon as I go out of it, it fails, then the net impact, farak nahi padta, hua nahi. But what will happen is if I start something and it goes to the next level and then level after over a period of time, let's say I start something with 1 village, it goes to 5 villages, 10 villages, or in your case, it could be you start with 1 hospital, 10 hospitals, 20 hospitals. That level of scale is very, very important. So that is about social innovation. Now we will go to the types of problems. And remember, social innovation only happens when it's a complex problem. Simple idli banana hai, dosa banana is not social innovation. It's a very simple problem. And that's what we are going to cover here. There are 3 types of problems. Let's say you guys, how many of you are foodies here who like cakes and all? Chocolate truffle, yeah, DBC and all by Corner House. Yeah, I see a lot of DBC fans here. So now just think about it. Making DBC is not that difficult. All you need is ice cream, little cherries, and then little chocolate sauce, and voila, you have an amazing death by chocolate. But then, see, problems like these are very simple, easily replicable. One solution you pick up, you can easily copy paste, cut, copy paste. And you may not make the best brownies or chocolates with that recipe, but for sure, you will definitely be able to do a decent job out of it. Now you have complicated problems. They say, right, it's not rocket science. You can easily do it. Now let's talk about rocket science. Rocket science is a very complicated problem. Lot of moving elements. But once a rocket goes from here to another place, you can replicate the same thing again and again, right? But it's going to take your, let's say you're making a DBC, it'll take you 15 minutes. This will take you 5 years. But essentially, a complicated problem can be replicated. All right. And now we'll go to another topic. And this is where I want you all to pay a little attention. And it's called complex problems. Now, complex problems, I'll give you the best example. Complex problem, think about raising a child. All of you have been children, you've seen your parents, or all of you have children, you've seen your child. Now, what happens with complex problems is there is no right way to raise a child. You tell another mom on the road, hey, you need to raise your child like that, one thappad you will get. No one tells somebody how to raise their child, right? And there is no right or wrong way. Whatever parents think right, they do it. True, right? And imagine if you have little, how many of you have siblings here? 5 years or greater gap? 4 years or greater gap? 10 years gap. Okay. 10 years. So I have a sibling, 4 years gap. Here we have 10 years and lot of greater than 4 years. Now I'll tell you one thing here. What worked for me failed miserably for my parents with my sister who was 4 years younger. So what is the key takeaway? What works for one situation does not work for another situation. Now, if how many of you are have nephews, nieces, or children who are very tiny? A lot of you, right? Now think about it this way. You give one toy to a child one day and he shuts up and stops crying. Tomorrow, if you give that same child the same toy, he'll throw at your face and cry more. So the same solution does not work. There is no fixed answer. There is no fixed way of doing it. Now, essentially, the the complexity of this is when the child grows up, you are growing the child however you want, but he's going to get into a society. The values that you put in are going to reflect in the society. So raising a child is actually a complex situation here, complex problem, so many complexities. Anything that happens to a child at a nascent age remains with them for the rest. And all of you will agree that you have some traits that are there from the childhood because how you have been brought up or some situations have changed the way you think, right? So now that is complex problems. Now we'll just move to another topic called wicked problems. Now wicked problems are complex problems, but these are absolutely garbage problems. Matlab, there is no fixed solution to any of it. There is no cause. There is no root cause of any of this problem. The root cause, if you find out, would be a cause of another problem. And you have various stakeholders, a lot of stakeholders. You have no fixed solution readily available. So it's complex problem ka baap with no, fixed answers. Then you have, whatever you find out is the root cause would be a symptom of something else. When you think about it, such kind of problems are the problems you would want to solve. Now I'll give you one small example of this. Let's say education policy agar koi bana raha hai, theek hai? Now education policy, if somebody is making for kids, who are the stakeholders out there? You have parents, you have the children themselves, you have the teachers, you have the supporting staff, then you have the management who runs it, and then you have the CBSE board and all of that coming in, and then you have the ministers, all of that, and then they pass a law. Now imagine one element of that is missing. Let's say it's amazing in all elements, but the teacher salary hai nahi. Do you think he'll succeed? He'll fail. Teachers won't teach, students won't learn. Now if it's 100% amazing, but it is very, very expensive, tabhi lot of children will drop out because parents won't be able to afford. So such kind of complexity comes in a wicked problem. So I want you to imagine a wicked problem in your head right now, because somewhere down the line in this particular module, we'll be covering a lot about wicked problems and how you identify one. Okay. So now we'll go to understanding the root cause. I gave you the example of the Chinese earthquake. People went in lakhs of people went to support. But what they failed to realize is they did not know what an earthquake victim needs or wants. What is the most important help that they require. So in order to answer that question, there is a brilliant tool called the 5 why tool. It is to identify what is the root cause, and you find the root cause and you solve from it. So remember, when you find the root cause, you solve from it. That is very important. You find the root cause and solve from it. Now, I gave you the first example of a friend of mine who I met, who was building castles in air and solving world problems in his head. Now, when you think about that over here, he's never gone and done the root cause analysis because he's been very far off. So again, you define a problem, you do the 5 why analysis, find out where you want to start, and if it is a wicked problem, there is no 5 why analysis will not give you the solution. There'll be another 5 why to that 5 why, another 5 why to that 5 why, and we'll take an example for it and go ahead. So this will be again very interactional. We'll take an example. Let's take the example of the literacy in the world. There are so many children who don't have the opportunity to learn how to read. Let's start with the first why. Why can't they get the opportunity to learn how to read? So we can build on it from here. Okay. So let's start. Anybody has any suggestions? Why do you think they don't have the opportunity to learn how to read?
Financial status, poverty.
Okay. Poverty. Okay.
Maybe the parents are not aware, like they should send the children to the school. Lack of
Lack of awareness. Okay. Anything else?
My idea, sir, you see some things like what basically the children will be brought in a such a way that they will only go for food, but for the interest of education. So
Right.
the one which should calculate that what is actually education.
Okay.
Can be culture also, like they don't
Okay.
believe in that studying, they just believe in they go and earn some money. So
Very correct. Very right. You saying, Meghna? Very true. Very true. Anything else? Okay. So here, when you talk about financial part, let's just break it down. Financial burden on whom? But there are government schools also. Really? Okay.
KV is a central government school, Kendra Vidyalaya. It's worldwide.
No, absolutely. See, listen, there is no right or wrong answers here, and this is all a perspective. So we'll all stitch it together. So we'll pick points. Absolutely, very well said. There are amazing government schools out there, but it's very difficult to get in. Very good point. All right.
Fees is just 540 rupees 4 years back. Now it's 1080 for 3 months.
Right.
Till first standard to 10th standard.
Right.
But there are KVs which are, I think, India's second top in all the CBSE schools, that is KVIT Powai Mumbai. I was a student of that. But it is very, it is actually not easy to take admission because they have MLA quotas, then they have right to education policy as well, in which there are 25% students are supposed to come under right to education policy, but they can't come. Because the professor students, like professor children, they take admission on the criteria of MLA notes.
Right.
So they don't get admission.
Very
More
well.
than lakhs, they can afford any private school as well as government school. But because they want a brand name, they can't get admission.
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
And even like the basic schools, like the teacher are getting paid for a job, but they're not coming and teaching the.
Not coming and teaching. Very good. So, okay. So in this problem definition, what we'll do is, because we'll just take a rural background right now, because urban mein economics work and financial happens. That is a big issue you don't get in. And what about the corporation schools? Are there a lot of corporation schools? So KV is one of those amazing schools that is a government school. But what about the other corporation schools?
They are so expensive. They are so expensive.
Corporation schools are the government schools. Huh.
The teachers are not coming on time.
இது வந்துட்டு சும்மா உங்களை எடுத்தாங்க.
Right.
There are corporation schools like that also.
Right.
But I don't know, like maybe it's easy to get, but in central government schools it is not.
Very true.
If
Very
they
true.
are good central government school, it is not easy. I don't know about the state government.
Right.
Sir, I am studying in government grade 12. So, like in my school, we used to go to school, we used to chat with our friends, we have lunch together, and we came home. Again, we have to go for the private tuition. So, in our school, teachers used to stitch the kneading sweaters and all in the winter. They used to sit around the fire. Then no one's supposed to come to the class. And when you go, like they make some excuse like that.
So that is
the government
that is what happens in a corporation school. It is easy to take admission, but then there is no quality of education, and there are no staff also to teach.
So let's solve this problem then. Okay, let's break it down. So now let's say why can't children read? Because teachers don't come to class. Even if they come, they chit chat and go away. Why do the teachers do that? Okay, lack of motivation would be, why are they not very motivated?
So the government will pay them anyhow, whether they will teach or not. There is no pressure on their head. No pressure.
Okay, so can we say, can we put this in this way? There is no incentive for them to do better, and why is there no incentive for them to do better? Because these teachers report to somebody, right? And those somebodies report to somebody. So why is there not a issue over there? So let's break it down. What seems to be the reason over there? Why isn't there an incentive for people to work around something?
Government schools are getting very high pay in comparison to the private school. Private school teachers hardly getting 10 to 15,000, but they are teaching because the authority on them, no, they create a pressure that you have to teach. But in the private, but in the government school they were getting 40,000 in 2000. Sorry, I was in 2007 in the 12th. So that time they were getting 45,000, but still they are not like willing to teach. And even when you go and ask something, they will make some excuses. What you're learning, and again, like they'll ask the question, they'll ask you the harder question, and you will go away like that only.
Very, very good. So how about this? There is no feedback system where the people who can scrutinize them are able to receive feedback. Is that a right way of putting it? Why is there not a good feedback system?
Because they are not in the ground state, like where the schooling is there, officers who give incentives, they sit at another office.
Right.
They don't know what actually goes in, whether he is a good teacher or not.
Exactly. So this is again very, very good, very, very, very valid points here. So now if we break it down from her problem, what we defined it, people are not able to read because teachers are not interested. Teachers are not interested because they have no fear, no incentive, and they have no fear or incentive because there is no feedback mechanism, because nobody can report it to their superior and tell that teacher is doing a bad job. Now why they are not able to do that? There is no method in which students can voice their opinion, or there is in your brilliant answer, the supervisors don't come to the school and check. So now would it be possible to address this problem by fixing the last step? That is, teachers, the babus, have to come to college or school at least once every week, and the students have an anonymous feedback for the teachers.
And then the corruption comes.
Those are different problems.
Problem we have to solve step by step. Now, even the babu comes, they will pay the money. I have seen that.
Right.
They will pay the money, the babu leave like that. Like from the ground floor only, they won't even come to the top floor to see how the infrastructure, how the students and teachers are doing.
But do you think the scenario is same for the past 10 years and even now? Because the government schools are also doing better nowadays. They're getting in English medium, the local languages. So they are getting like that because branded government
like if I talk about a KVJ. So they are now built into a corporate campus like Triple IIT, IIT or Navy, Air Force. So of course they want their students to get a good education. IT professor has entire right. If you tell their kids you are out of my class because you did not do their homework, even in first, second, third, or in 12th grade. In the evening, the teacher will receive at least 30 mails from the KVS Sangathan, from the parent, from the principal, from everybody, and his or her job will be this. He is a government teacher.
Barabar, 100%.
He is also getting paid. He is getting 1 lakh or more than 1 lakh per month. But he will receive mails and he will receive a memo. He will receive a memo tomorrow.
Right, makes sense. All of this is very valid. So the whole point is our wicked problem ka definition is there is no, you can't find the root cause of anything. You pick one thing out of that and then you go. Now, I'll tell you how you can link this to healthcare also. Now you say, after some point, you say that children are not able to focus because their nourishment is not right. Brain food they are not having. At some point, if you divert from here, you also see healthcare coming in. Now you can do a 5-why analysis of that and find out what is the cause of that. And once you find the answer to that, you will again do a 5-why analysis and it will take you somewhere else. So what does this mean? Wicked problems ka koi root cause nahi hai. The cause seems like a symptom, symptom looks like a cause. Correct, no? So the whole idea is such problems are extremely difficult to put on paper to find out what is the root cause. Now we talk about corruption. That angle only came into school. We're talking about why child is not able to read. We are also talking about corruption. We're also talking about healthcare. Why the child is not able to eat. You see, now the whole idea of this last 2-3 minutes was for all of you to think that one problem, children not able to read, has so many different streams, and each of that has so many other different streams, and ultimately you will again link it to illiteracy because parents don't want their child to do this, and you'll bring tradition. It will keep coming. So that is a wicked problem. You can't solve for it. Hunger you can't solve. People talk about solving hunger, you can't solve. Poverty alleviation you can't solve. You just can't, because it's a wicked problem. अगर किसी को gambling का आदत है, तो even if he is rich, he'll be poor. You do whatever schemes you want. If people don't take care of finances, they will again be poor only. So that is what a wicked problem is. So now all of you are extremely confused, and this is exactly where I want you to be, because wicked problems का कोई solution है नहीं. You start somewhere, go somewhere. So now once you think about a wicked problem, we'll talk about how to solve for it. You find out something, okay? You find out anything of your choice, and then you think about how to solve it. One such technique of solving it is called design thinking. Design thinking is very simple. It's a human-centric solution. Human-centric solution क्या होता है? You are doing something with the user, end user at your entire focus. You're trying to solve for some problem. Then you are also looking at challenging assumptions. Now, challenging assumptions is very important, because now we've seen a lot of people bring so many different points to education. Now that is your assumptions that you are challenging when you are designing it. What if the teacher does this? What if there is corruption? What if there is child not getting nourishment? All that what if is coming in your solution. So that is very important. And then at every single point, you redefine the problem. So now all of this is too much theory. We'll move to the next part where it'll be fun stuff. It'll be about things that I did and I failed. So we'll go to that, and that'll be extremely fun. So just remember this particular graph. There are 5 points here. Design thinking mein 5 points are there. First, you empathize. Second, you define the problem. Empathize is when you remember my friend who told me he wants to solve problems at UP Bihar. Good intention, but he does not empathize with the people. What are they wearing? He does not know. Okay. Next one is you're defining the problem. You're doing the 5 why to find out where I'm going to fix my screw. There was some movie, I don't quite remember, very old movie. I don't know if you are all movie buffs here, but one guy scooter kharab ho jata hai. He takes it to a mechanic, and the mechanic looks at the scooter for 10 minutes, takes a hammer and hits the scooter, and scooter starts running. And then mechanic says 100 rupees do. And then the guy over there says ek hammer marne, ek hatodi marne ke liye 100 rupees. And then the mechanic says nahi nahi, kahan marne ke liye 99, or to hit it, like where to hit, that is 99 and hitting is just 1 rupee. So that is defining the problem. Do you remember which movie? I don't quite remember. Chalo, very old movie. Anyway, then you ideate on how to solve. Now, when you are ideating, 5 ideas from her I got, 5 ideas from her I got, 5 ideas from him I got. Now, so many ideas are there. Then you try to create an answer. And design thinking mein random sabse bakwas idea jo hai, still say it. It makes a lot of sense because ideas are not bad. All ideas are welcome. Then you create a prototype and then you test it. Okay, now we'll go to the next part. When you create a product or service, again, design thinking mein 5 things you have to take in mind. But when you're creating a product or service for rural India or for the people at the bottom of the pyramid, 4 factors you have to take care. 4 factor kya hai? Affordability. Otherwise, iPhone thodi na bikega yaar. Think about it. Next, availability. Next, acceptability. And 4th one is awareness. So we will, you guys understood, or do you want me to go in depth and explain? No, very self-explanatory. So now we'll go to the case study where we are going to talk about a zero waste village ka concept. Okay. So yahan pe the concept is very simple. So what happened is I landed in Tilonia 2019. मैं अपना बोरी बिस्तर उठा के I reached Tilonia. So Tilonia is basically a village somewhere in Rajasthan. I've lived all my life in Chennai, and in Bangalore I was working with AIG. It's a corporate here. I was working here, and yeah, for about 3 years I stayed in one of the best prestige apartments. It's Prestige Shantiniketan in Whitefield. Must 13th floor. I'm not telling you this to show off, but what I'm trying to tell you is from there, within a matter of a month, I was living in a dilapidated old school. जहाँ पे पानी नहीं है, जहाँ पे I have to walk 2 kilometers to get water, जहाँ पे to use a washroom, attached bathroom का concept मैं भूल गया था. Snakes had become my friends because kabhi bhi those slithering idiots will come into the room. Now I moved from that setting to this setting, and now as soon as I came to this setting, my idea was, bhai main to engineer hu, I went to a good college, I worked at Fortune 500, my brains are best in the world. And what I did is I went to the village. ठीक है, village में सब देखा, एक preliminary survey किया मैंने. I went and saw everything, and what I felt is because I come from elitist, abhi itna elitist qualities I told no. So I come from that background, so I had all those things. Yaar kachra idhar hai, kachra udhar hai, and then I decided I'll do waste management project. I'll clean the village. Okay, so good idea, not a bad idea. Actually a good idea. Then I took this idea and went and spoke to the Sarpanch. Sarpanch is the head of the panchayat. He laughed and asked me to run away. Bola, niklo bhai, niklo. Now I want you to understand one thing. Why did I fail here? Let's break it down into the basics. Very, very simple basics. Why did I fail here? And this is what I want you to imagine. I went to a village जहाँ पे electricity नहीं है, जहाँ पे sanitation तो is not the least of their concern. Electricity नहीं है, पानी नहीं है. What do they want? A high-fi clean society. जरूरत नहीं है. It's not a problem. It's not a problem for them at that level. The urgency is not there. So what happened? It was a smack on my face. But at the same time, it's not that I did not do an effort in finding out. I went to every house and asked them questions. Do you want your village to be clean? Now you tell me which idiot in their right mind will say, I want my village to be dirty. Sabne bola, I want a village to be clean. But now here is what I want you to think. When you're doing your survey, now all of you went for observational studies, right? What is important and what are your key takeaways are, what you need to observe is you are asking the right questions. Think about it. If I ask you, do you want an iPhone? And do my market study here. Do you want health insurance? Do you want the best premium service? Who will say no? But frame your question better. Would you be willing to pay X for getting Y in order to attain Z? And then you have an engaging conversation. You hear me? What I did was I was so thorough that I asked wrong questions. So that's why this happened. Now, how do you get the community to buy in? Now, first one, after you get a shot on your chin, you take it on your chin, and then you go to the next village where you see these three parameters are met. Khana hai, nutrition is there, water is there, electricity is there, education is there, then comes waste management. So your type of village changes altogether. Barabar? So now, free versus paid service, that is again two pilots we did. एक है free service for everybody, free करो free, not sustainable. The third point of social innovation, scale, right? Free, everyone who we gave free, they decided ठीक है चलो free, I don't want to pay for it ever, so fail. Next, paid service is very chair and all. So the paid service over there is also something very different. What we have in terms of paid services, we charge them 5 rupees, let's say 5 rupees. उनका घमंड आ जाता है. So whole idea is I am trying to alleviate a problem. I'm solving waste management, but I have two criteria in my head. What are my two criteria? One, the village is clean and circular economy comes in. But the second most important factor is the people who are working in this sector, they get the respect and they move up in the ladder in the society. दो चीज है, two things. And the first thing, when I'm trying to run it, I'm trying to run it as a business, because I don't want my ideas or my inputs to fail as soon as I go. Barabar. Now, free versus paid service, we found out that entire thing we can't charge because nobody will pay. Free if we give, the model will fail. So we got a hybrid model. I came to my mind. I'll explain this and then we'll go to the next step. Then you look at sustainability aspect. Sustainability aspect is whether my model will run. Now here I'll give you one small example, very small example. 3 people in one village requires 3 people to work. Each person, minimum wage in Rajasthan 6,500, 3 people 19,500 rupees. मेरे को चाहिए ही चाहिए for the model to run. हालांकि मेरा cut ना हो. For it to run 19,500 and some extra cost. Let's say you want to charge your electric bike or electric scooter to collect, some extra cost you need. So let's say 25,000. Now, what we did when we started, we did a very brilliant thing. We told we'll clean the waste management. Sukha kachra, gila kachra. Sukha kachra is dry waste. Gila kachra is wet waste. Wet waste is you can make it compost. And sukha kachra is dry waste. So what happens? The value of the waste you segregated, and then we used to sell the all the sukha kachras. We used to sell at 2 rupees a kg. So that's how we were trying to get. And village mein kitna hi hoga? 400 kgs of waste, 500 kgs of waste a year in a month, 300 households. Now, when 500 kgs of waste is coming and I'm selling at 2 rupees, 500 into 2 is 1000. Baki 19,000 kahan se launga? So I had to think of doing something. What do you do to make it work? That is where I saw, I was passing through a dump yard. I stopped my bike, go to the dump yard, and I start chit-chatting with the people at the dump yard. And I asked them, how do you make a living? They said, sir, we are very comfortable. We are living here, but then we are very comfortable because operationally, we don't have to invest anything and we are getting a lot. People dump their kachra here, we segregate it and we sell it. मेरा दिमाग में बत्ती जला. So far, I was positioning myself as a kachra wala. I'm like, no, I am going to position myself as a khad wala and a kabadi wala now. So I went to 7 different dump yards, spent quite a bit of time at the dump yards, understood how they work. And remember, when I say I spent time there, the reason is if you don't know, only observe. All case studies पढ़ने से कुछ नहीं होगा. Social innovation में case studies won't help you. उधर जाओ, you face that smell in which they are living, then ideas will come to your head. You cut your hand picking kachra, ideas will come to your head. You wear nice white shoes, jump into a pool of, I don't know what that was, but then that's when ideas will come to your head. Right? So now, this is where I realized that now my model has to be, I'm going to sell it, but now I'm going to, whatever kachra I'm getting, I will further divide it into SKUs, stock keeping units. So I created a warehouse after that. The warehouse was called Tilonia. This warehouse of Tilonia was called Surplus Management Warehouse. It's not waste. What is surplus to you, we are taking and we are doing something about it. And based on all these rag pickers and dump yard guys, I got an idea. I started segregating my waste into 32 different SKUs. 32 different SKUs. फिर all of us are, आप लोग MBA कर ही रहे हो, मैं भी कैपिटलिस्टिक सोसाइटी से आया हूं, तो स्टॉक मार्केट एवरीबॉडी लाइक्स, लाइक दैट कचरा मार्केट भी होता है. आई एम नॉट किडिंग. The value of kachra keeps fluctuating the whole year. So then what I did, my warehouse, I hoarded. Matlab, I kept all my saman when the prices were low. I sold when the prices were high. And the pricing also changes season to season. So I was running a business over there. And the lady who was helping me run it and helping me, she was running it, I was on the side. That lady has never been to school. Never been to school. She and I used to segregate waste together. Today, I can assure you, because of practice and understanding, she can segregate all types of waste. And I think she can segregate 30-35 types of waste. And only person in Rajasthan who can do it. Plastic ka 7 type. Do you know there are 7 types of plastic? 1, 2, 3, कोई भी bottle देखो, 1, 2, 3, shampoo bottle 2, 3. She can do all of that. Now imagine that lady is running that entire unit as an independent sustainable unit. Now, मेरा 2 rupees per kg moved to how much, can you guess? 18 rupees on an average. 18 into 500. How much money? 9,000? 9,000 rupees. From 20,000, 9,000 rupees. So मेरा यही कचरा, by pivoting my model, I started getting. Now we'll go to the next part. This part is going to be very important, and I really want you to observe this. Okay, this was my initial model. Abhi jo calculation we did, it's all in the brain, right? All the calculation we did, it's all on the brain. 500 kgs, 500 matlab, if I move from 2 to 18, it will be 9,000 rupees. That means I only need to solve for 10,000 rupees. Right? Now, this situation is a dream situation. Iska matlab kya tha? I was building castles in air, just like all of us right now. We solved half, right? But then what happens is when you go to the village, I am not from Rajasthan. Marwadi nahi aata. And I have the power of laptop. So how do you convince people to segregate waste? Very important, no? मेरे को waste segregate करवाना है लोगों को. Now what happens here? I go to everybody's house, I open laptop, I do my research. My research is spot on. All the best practices across the world. Put it in a PPT, go to everybody's house, show them PPT. I thought I did a great job. I really did. And because I come from data background, I ensured whatever I do, I'm able to collect. So I started measuring my segregated and unsegregated waste. Brilliant idea. सच में brilliant idea. खुद को ताली कभी कभी देना होता है, but brilliant idea. But thank you. But at the same time, I saw when I did the awareness drive for the first time, 8% was the total segregated waste का ratio. 8%. 500 kgs में अगर 100% होता, I'm getting 9,000 rupees. उसमें 8% हुआ, तो भाई I have to shut shop. Absolutely fail. फिर that made me think कि बॉस मैं क्या कर क्या रहा हूँ. वो शार्क टैंक देखते हो आप? अश्नीर ग्रोवर का वो क्या है, भाई तू बंद कर दे. वही वाला थॉट केम टू माय हेड. भाई तू बंद कर दे, नहीं होगा तेरे से. Then I realized when I was doing all of this, ठीक है, when I was going to everybody's house, when I was doing that, I realized there was one annoying kid everywhere. ठीक है, one annoying kid everywhere. मतलब सही में गुस्सा आ जाता. Every child, every house you go, one annoying kid. But अभी now think about it. When I went back and saw मेरा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, I realized one thing. कि अभी boss, those annoying kids are going to be my friends, they are going to be my साथी. And ये idea कहाँ से आया? Nothing to do with waste management. आपको याद है when you guys were in school, Milo के vans आते थे, they used to give. कभी भी Milo का ad मैंने जितना नहीं देखा, those milk का sachets used to be the reason. Like they used to give me Milo in school, I used to drink, and I used to go, mummy, mummy, Milo. That's how Milo got its market share. I used the same principle. I changed my project from a zero waste पंचायत वो सब भूलो भाई, zero waste school बनाओ first. Zero waste school के लिए you work on the children, you work with them and you grow with them. I went and told, I struggle. Hindi also, because I've been in South, my Hindi is not fluent. Whatever Hindi I'm throwing off is just showing off that I've lived 2 years and I've kind of improved on it. So now what happens is, now these children, I made course curriculum. I made them lot of activities. And ultimately what I wanted to do with these children is, these children, once you teach them, they will be the leaders of the future. Of course, at a young age, you make it very interactive, they'll be leaders of the future. Abhi, now I'll give you another scenario. Next time I go to these houses, okay, before I go to the houses, Barefoot College का क्या बोला था, bottoms up approach. I ask my friend Ramlal, I ask him, hey, boss, where are we failing? Why aren't people getting whatever I'm trying to say? And that guy has never been to a school and he's the most intelligent man I know. वो बोलता है, ये क्या कार्सिजेंस बोल रहा है तुम? The cancer causing all of that, वो क्या, हम लोग गांव से है, क्या उनको पता चलेगा? And I ask him, फिर क्या बोलना चाहिए उनको? बोलो, गाय, भैंस, बकरी दूध नहीं देगा. Because you observe, all of them have cattle. You listen to the people on the ground, they have all the solutions. This is what Bunker Roy says, the founder, and I completely agree. The next time I do these sessions, armed with a friend in terms of the kid, but also changing my pitch into your गाय भैंस का 18 लीटर से 14 लीटर होगा. फिर 8 से 12, 12 से 25, 25 से ऐसे कर करके I move to 70%. फिर स्टैग्नेट हो गया. जो भी few people अकड़ू हैं, नहीं चेंज करेंगे, you can't change them. True. Now I can't solve for everything ना, जितना हो पाया ना. 70% मतलब 9,000 का 70%, कभी कभी ऊपर नीचे approximately कभी हो जाता है. So that's fine. Now the next one is पैसा लेना है. 300 houses, 1 rupee per day. 9,000 rupees उधर आ रहा है. I have solved most of it. फिर compost, the compost that we make from the gila kachra, I realized if I give it to farmers, they are buying at 4 rupees. And if I'm making 1000 kgs, I'll give them 900 kgs. But that 100 kgs, I will find all these new age gardeners who buy things from Amazon. जो मैं 4 रुपए में बेचता था per kg, उनको 200 रुपए में बेचूंगा, and those idiots will buy it. And I was one such idiot because that was the pricing that was applicable to me. I had a garden in Prestige where I bought coco peat. I bought all these things from the net. So मुझे पता था market है for people like me. So वहां से कुछ money I got, right? So essentially कुछ कुछ करके 80-85% of the entire project हो गया ऐसे. So that way we took this study. Now all of you realized how I failed miserably the first time. The reason for that is I did not listen to anybody. I got the best possible ideas from everybody. मतलब net में people are talking about things that work in Philippines. I'm using it in Tilonia. Okay, I'm talking about cancer and all of that. कोई काम नहीं दिया. You have to understand the most basic things. Okay, so we'll move to the next part. And this is the second case study. Only 3 case studies. One is done. This is to give you, the first case study was to give you a context of what I did, how I did. The second thing is this guy made tiles out of low density polyethylene. And that guy is me, guys. Yeah, awesome, right? No, this was my biggest failure. And I'll tell you why. So while I was solving for it, I told you we segregated waste, 32 different types of waste, अलग अलग कर दिया हमने, ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया. One such waste no recycler was buying was low density polyethylene. Low density polyethylene is something that is वही cover bag जो everywhere you get. Nobody buys it, nobody sells it. Horrible, absolutely bad. Now this particular thing, what did I do when I couldn't solve for this? Opened YouTube. YouTube में everything is there. Google open करो तो भाई everything you have. I got a solution like this. Drum है, you heat it, it'll become sticky. You add sand to it, mix it, and then you have tiles. And if you have tiles, you are doing a great job. Actually, whatever I did on the field, नीचे से ये खोलेगा. So then what happened? This was a brilliant idea. मैं गया, I spoke to Ramlal, the guy who I collected waste with. बोला अच्छा idea है. And then I took that product and went to all the people's house in Tilonia. Everybody's house. सबका घर गया मैं. Got their feedback. This is the product. What do you think we can add? This is the product. What do you think we can add? So I want you to think about it this way. Why this is a perfect example in my life is empathy tha ki nahi tha. I defined the problem. The problem definition was there is no way where people in that area are able to dispose and people who in that area are able to collect in a sanitary way. Ideated, got an idea. Next, I made a prototype. Prototype banaya, I went and showed it to everybody. And the reason I say I co-created this product with the Tilonia collective, entire people of Tilonia collective is because every single bit of this is everybody's idea. I made this. Somebody told me एक spoke लगा. मैं बोला क्या spoke क्या है भाई? आप बोल रहे हो ना? You will wrap it in a newspaper and throw. You put a spoke, we will remove the newspaper on top and wrap it and put it down. बहुत सही. Somebody told me that since you are doing this, how about you paint it? Because if you paint it, it will look more attractive. तो फिर painting शुरू हो गया. Then 3 separate ideas. 1, 2 and 3. 3 different types prototype बनाया to see which is working in that market or not. फिर most important thing is they told me कि boss, how will people understand what they have to put in? एक poster बनाओ. So the element of design, element of creating something that is visually appealing is very, very important. Simple black and white में कोई नहीं use करेगा. So because I was taking it घर and showing to people, one principal called me and told me कि boss, ये बहुत सही है. आप क्या करो, मेरे स्कूल में लगा दो, मेरे बच्चों को बहुत दिक्कत हो रहा है. तो हमने स्कूल में लगाया. Sarpanch was coming to that school few days later. Sarpanch saw the entire thing. She's like, this is a good idea, put it in hospital. Because hospital में भी लोग बहुत आते हैं. फिर sanitary waste box आप लगाओ hospital में, put it in schools, public toilets. And then what started to happen was this idea started growing on its own. I was making it at 80 rupees, selling it at 140 rupees. Affordability thigh. I was able to make a margin of 60 rupees such that my waste management ke jo bande hain, I'm able to cover some cost with that. So the entire idea of this particular product is you use all the elements of design thinking. I prototyped and iterations after iterations. Somebody told me, "Ki boss, you are not putting hooks on the side of the sanitary waste box. Why don't you put a hook?" I asked him why. Jab you are saying it is going to be sight free, touch free, so somebody who's bringing a bag can stick it on the sides of it, and then the entire waste will go down. I'm like, great idea, add it. And the reason I'm telling you this is prototyping is very important, testing is very important. Imagine I would have made 100 units and put it everywhere without improving on my design. फिर क्या होता? Because it is so inconvenient for people wouldn't have used it. बराबर? Because I was able to reiterate, redesign, the final product today is there in more than 3 districts, over 18 villages. People are using it. Now, the entire point here is, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve for problems? Whether you are going to use something that makes something that actually helps people or not. That is the most important takeaway of social innovation. We'll have a detailed session maybe sometime later on design thinking and how you do it. But what I mean to tell you here is the entire process of my design thinking, no way and nowhere it has only been restricted to waste management. I picked up ideas from marketing. I picked up ideas from Milo, right? Now imagine when you are going to create a problem and you're going to use design to solve something, you have a lot of options. Don't restrict yourself into one thing. Think out of the box. All ideas are crazy. Try to incorporate it. Build a pilot. Fail, learn, adapt. Fail, learn, adapt. Fail, learn, and adapt. So that brings the end of this session. We have a group activity. Now I see all of you are already sitting in groups of 4 or 5, and this can definitely be a this definitely can be a individual activity also. So it's very simple. All of you went last week. I think all of you went for your observation. It's been it's been a month, and it was for 2 weeks. Now I want you to describe a problem that you faced. Okay, every I think every 4 people, 5 people, group of 5 or 4 we can have, and I want you to describe the problem that you faced. Like, build it down into 1 sentence or 2 sentences and tell me what the problem is. And in 100 or 200 words, you can write a short why as to what is the problem that you are facing. And finally, write a sentence or two to explain if this is a wicked problem. So this is a food for thought for all of you all. I'd be very happy if I get some responses out of you all, where you use whatever you've learned, your observational skills, and break it down and explain why you might be in a wicked problem or why you have faced it. For example, in an hospital, whenever I go, I get very anxious. I'm going in for a headache. I feel I'm getting a brain stroke. So, wo hota, how do you calm a patient down? It could be as simple as that. Why do you think people feel hospitals are maut ka ghar, where you go, you will definitely die and come out? How can you make your hospital going experience slightly more comforting for people? These definitely are things for you to think about. This is one such topic. You can talk about anything based on your observation. And once you do, I think you can give the entire list to Meghna. Will you be able to collect and share? So we could do that. All right. So that brings us to the end of this session on Hitchhiker's Guide to Social Innovation. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer anything.
Your story reminds me of a web series.
Panchayat, yeah.
When you were telling it, I was remembering that. I was about the same thing. Did you get any motivation from there?
Oh, this happened before Panchayat came out, no?
Yeah, asking you that did you get motivation from there to just go somewhere? I watched your next trip where I said, sir did it before Panchayat. Panchayat came afterwards. So they got motivated from.
No.
Are you going somewhere else again?
So we'll see. Right now, I've moved. I'm trying to shift from one project into a a little more complicated scenario. I'm trying to push myself into boundaries where I'm moving out of project and trying to work on a broad spectrum. So right now, I'm mentoring a few fellows like myself. And I think that way I am exposed to so many problems, because as a fellow who's been there, done that, I know what it takes and how difficult it is. And in addition to that, all my fellows who are there, they are doing something completely different to what I am doing. So that way I'm exposed to about 6-7 different problems right now. and every problem is unique. They're all in 6 different villages, different problems, solving different things. So it's very wonderful. So I'm currently in that sort of a thing. And then, yeah, hopefully I pick up something similar.
My lady and she was that her husband passed today because he was like too much drunk and he was lying on the floor and because of like sun is coming over on him and like half unconscious. So nobody paid attention to such kind of people on the road and they all just passed so such kind lots of times it happens that the person died because of that and like some injury happened when he fall or something like that. So for such kind of people nobody pays attention. So like is there something we can do for such kind of people or because I have seen like or I have heard from some people like over drinking and such kind of fall. A lot of people died because of that. And nobody is paying attention. They everyone is just pass by. So like is there any way?
So this is a very, very interesting question. Is there a way that we can help people who are
Because I tried to call the police, and the police people also came, they just saw, and they said he's too drunk. Just leave it like. So I was I was really thinking like if I can do something, I can put some water on. I know he is drunk, but still I want to help because they already have some family involved. Like they are drunk, they are doing that for themselves, but still they are doing that for their family also. So, like whatever the maid I'm getting or house help, they tell me her husband is working too much, and that's why she's working. So, like somehow family suffers. So, like anyway, they are not doing good, but they have to pay somehow. So, like it's an issue.
So here again, I think the entire session was about me trying to empathize with the situation, trying to identify. So it would be very wrong of me to come and talk like my friend, Chalo, let's solve drunk people issues, because it's not possible. It is just not possible. Out of the box idea अगर करना है तो ठेला खोलो जहां पे बेड्स भी रखता है, ड्रंक पीपल वहीं सो जाएगा. ये सब बहुत वाहियात ideas people say. You can have all of that. You have a mast wala canteen where people are drinking, you put beds for them to sleep. ये सब ideas I will give because it is out of ignorance. I cannot solve this problem. I can't think of it because to understand it, you would have to ask why is he getting drunk? Why is he outside? What seems to be the problem? Only when you do that, you will be able to come to some point, because the entire idea of design thinking is you have to understand, you have to find the idea and try to solve for it.
Rehabilitation center is to call, no? Some people are lying here and being drunk. So they people are not coming forward because they want money. If you're putting someone in rehabilitation, the family will pay for that.
So why is rehabilitation center charging money?
Just to get rid of that habit. And the poor people, like the labor people, most of them, like they're working in a day, they're getting 200 and they're like drinking in the night. But the family of them, they suffer a lot.
Right. Does anybody have any points to this? This is a very interesting thing. People who earn 200 drink Old Monk worth of 100 rupees, and then they are outside lying on the road. How can we solve for it? So anybody has any ideas? Let's solve this together, because mere se ye, I can't solve this problem. Matlab we can only ideate together. This is a very difficult question.
Then 1 month start paying them salary, so monthly salary.
Okay.
Maybe sir. Like
Okay.
if we're giving them a wages, no, they're like today for 5 days we'll work, we'll get a daily wages. Okay, after that we have earned a bit, then for 2 days, 3 days they won't go anywhere.
Really, not a bad idea. You consolidate the wage into from daily wage to, let's say, weekly wage. Brilliant idea. Okay.
So I got this idea, like my father owns a restaurant. So we were giving them daily wages.
Right.
So what they used to do, they used to come for 10, 15 days when they were free. They used to earn quite well. And then they leave.
Right.
So it was like we were in the loss because of that. Because afterwards we need to find some other person Then he said, ki, no, I'll give you monthly payment, like month to month on 7th or 8th of every month. So that time, now they have that thing in their mind, ki, okay, we have to work.
Right.
So this was, I think, this can be a thing.
So again, guys, this is such a beautiful point, and I'll tell you the complexity of this. What this solution does is not just one answer; it is a multifold answer. Because number one, when you have a wage for over a month, right? His savings and thought process also changes. Okay, he cannot get drunk hoping tomorrow there will be a payday. So what your what Harpreet's dad did is fantastic. It has so many effects. So ultimately, unka dhanda hi hai. Restaurant mein he needs people, but when he changed the model, it completely changed the idea, and it indirectly changed a lot of families. Now I think that could be one solution. I'm not sure. Any other ideas? Because this is a great idea, brilliant idea, yaar. Change it to a weekly or a monthly salary. Anybody else?
Yeah, but like, yeah, like if someone is cutting a restaurant or something where the owner can control. But if a rickshaw wala is doing that, so he's the owner of that. So like how, because these problems happen with the rickshaw wala, the labor who's working on a daily basis on the street, like with some conception. So it's a big problem and since the month only I'm thinking about it. So she lost her stick. And it's not her fault, but it's still there something.
Right.
Something comes from inside. It's a change. Like,
I,
if they are worried about their children, their family, they would be like, why?
it's a very different question, because you have to understand why they are getting into the habit of drinking.
That's my construction area where my dad we were constructing house. So at that point of time, what happened that he was saying that I used to say, why are you drinking? Better don't drink. You can at least save for your injuries or anything. So they are well aware of BPL cards and all. They know that the government will take care of everything. They only also know daily ration, ask us how, and then the old mom or whatever they have that. So there are very few labors where the woman, they are same no, the woman also work and the guys also work, the husband also work. And yes, she doesn't, if she's strict, they do sometimes beat. There are very less women who come forward and talk to their husband that please don't do it or else I'll take strict action. It all depends upon the woman. If they take a strict action, then he will. Yeah, I have something.
So actually, no, it has become a culture in India. He family is dependent on men. Okay. So I think why they drink, because they have so much of stress if you go for it. So at night they can sleep, they drink that. Then it becomes a habit. So if like women and men they both start earning, like if they remove this culture of only men earning and everyone is dependent on them, maybe our financial stress can be reduced. Like
Not bad. Very good point. Very good
I
point.
feel like, because see, I'm from a Punjabi family, so it's very common in Punjabis drinking alcohol.
Right.
So it happens if they're in a stress condition. Okay, now it's let's drink. So I feel like most of them drink because at night they can't sleep because of all those stress. What will happen tomorrow? How am I going to solve this tomorrow? Where I get money for my children and all those things. But it's a culture ki only men are working. Now it's changing, but still not to that extent in tier 2, tier 3 cities. In tier 1, so it's okay, but still in rural, it's not there. So if they start doing it, both of them will start earning. So maybe we can. It's just an idea.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. What would you recommend? Would you recommend a alternative, healthier drug that enhances sleep? What do you think would be better here?
no, not alternative drug.
No,
it's
not,
just-
not. See, what is the alternative to alcohol that would induce sleep? What can come into the market?
Stress. Not about sleep, about stress.
About stress,
they
yeah,
have-
anti-anxiety.
So once they have money in their hand, no, so automatically they'll sleep without any drug. It's the main issue. Like people in India, they are like for money only. They just want money. And everyone wants, obviously. बहुत कम लोग होंगे. Those who don't want money. If people are there for money only.
Right.
So if they have that money in their hand, so they'll be happy. They'll sleep. I just feel lazy.
Makes sense, absolutely makes sense. But वो money आएगा कैसे? वहां पे फिर वापस
That is why I'm
literacy,
saying,
the first case study, why people can't read, why they can't do, वही आ जाएगा वापस again and again.
so that is what I'm saying, sir, for the culture. They need to stop this culture कि only men can earn, men can go, you have to be dependent on them. If they'll have that mutual understanding कि okay, I'll also earn, you'll also earn. If you're earning 10,000 a month, if a woman is also working, she can earn 6,000. So it makes a lot of difference, 10,000 and 16,000.
Right.
So that is what I.
But again, they're doing household work, so they're saving it that way. Otherwise, they
Makes
they
sense.
have to keep their,
Makes
they have
sense.
to pay for that. So anyway, they are saving that. Or people thinking that.
That also makes sense.
Technology. It's coming, sir, for more, matlab, it is, we can thought, like, future के लिए it can be there, no? और चीजों के लिए, so like, we see that, oh, more के लिए, no? Because we used to use their hands and all. Now it's coming, oh, सीधा ऐसे करो and then you go for it. So, sir, technology is making easier also for people, time efficient.
Right. Makes sense, absolutely makes sense. And that's also a very valid point. Women do contribute if you get domestic help. Very, very valid point.
All women, we have a male maid at home, all are female maids. Sir, that is like that हिंदी तो husband होते हैं. So वो मारती भी है, let's say who gives them if you don't give the money. So women are too contributing more in all our ideas. Some are maids, some are sweepers, some are like working. You are just talking about that.
Makes sense, absolutely makes sense.
Like I'm thinking like we are making the one stop like that. If we can make some spot for such kind of people and someone voluntary can drop their
This is a very, very good point. So did I tell you that when you talk about social innovation, there are a lot of factors here. You have government, you have NGOs, you have social enterprises that are coming out, you have a collective of people, like a bunch of informal people coming and doing it, or you have a hybrid model. Now, I was reading a few days back, Delhi government has done something like this. So आपका जो highway है ना, ऐसे नीचे जाता है, ऊपर आता है, this portion of the highway and this portion of the highway, they're converting it into hotels for the homeless. You can come, sleep and go. So these are things, see, Delhi government, the example of schooling, the system change, you can see government doing it. Private entities, you can see a lot of private entities coming in and doing a lot of helping education. But similarly, it has to be a collective effort. See, there are millions of social entrepreneurs, millions of social innovators out here. Abhi, whoever feels and empathizes with the cause can take it up, should take it up. One size does not fit all wala to nahi hoga.
like mentally that guy will be very like then only he can make a team and he can work well. But somehow I'm feeling they are lacking humanity from like somehow because if accidents happen we just pass that. We don't even look. And then only we came forward and then the march past and all like candles and all this will happen. So even then like I'm telling about myself. I'm just passing by a man who fell down from the bike. He got seriously injured. I asked my husband to stop. So he was like in a hurry. No, I will be get late for my meeting. So these things are happening, sir. So like if
Right. Yeah, I have one question. All of you are from the medical background. I really want to understand, because you're doing a lot of the things that you're doing is in this space. How does the ambulance economy work? I really want to know. Do people charge for it, or is it free? So-
Charge is very high, sir.
All parts where what they are using, they charge.
And the hospitals making revenue also. There are different types of ambulances.
Okay.
Each and every ambulance has specialty. Some has a cardiac and some has a
Can you please explain this? I really want to know. I'm really curious. Anybody, or it could be like one point you tell, others can also pitch in.
three types of ambulance.
Okay.
The three types of ambulance. One is like very basic one. To and fro, to and safety. And one, few of them has a ventilator for the respiratory patient. And where I have done my NCI or National Cancer Institute, you even have a optal in it, so that we can see that if any patient like anyone having a problem in eyes, that the ambulance was having that thing. That system was enhanced in that ambulance.
Okay.
So like the ambulance do take the patient, bring them, that's one thing. But they do the taking of the campaign. They go to villages and then they detect the patient, they do the campaigning thing, and then they bring back the patient from there. So there are various kinds of ambulance. So I having a medical equipment enhanced in that.
Okay. And what is the economics? How does it work?
Like the minimum charges of the ambulance is like 2,000 rupees.
What?
Yes, it's the minimum.
Okay.
If there's an heart attack and we want someone, there's the minimum charges is like 2,000.
Okay.
Any hospital. And if it's a multi-specialty, it can go 5 to 6.
1,000 for an ambulance?
Yes, if it is sometimes ambulance if it's a rural area it's coming, so it will take time.
Yeah.
We are getting it fast, of course, isn't that, sir?
Right.
We are getting connected to hospital as in the plant possible. Ambulance it is written, it is the mirror image. हम जब देखते हैं तो we find it the ambulance दिखा है, क्योंकि ambulance तो उल्टा लिखा रहता है. तो इसका charges रहते हैं. The ambulance they do make a contribution to hospital.
So rural India mein, where the villages are very far off, what would you all recommend? What can be done? Because this is something I've seen. किसी का सिर फटता है, बस वहीं शांत हो जाता है वो. जुगाड़ कैसे? कैसे कैसे करते हैं?
The jeep, that there was like previously that was open at the long. On that they are putting the patient, and someone is holding the bottle like this. So like in the village only some doctor put the someone is a relative holding the bottle, and the children is going like that. They are used to travel like that.
Right.
So they're like economically that will be best for them. So they're using that. So yes, we can find out some economic solution for them that will be comfortable for the patient. But
Okay.
that's not very comfortable for the patient.
Right.
Long way.
Right.
See, for ambulance, what happens actually is, like, it typically works on a taxi model.
Okay.
So you have a base rate, minimum for kilometer, like, or nearly, if you are calling it within 5 or 6 kilometers, then the base rate fixed. Beyond that, 7 to 10, a base rate fixed. And then after that, it charges on per kilometer. Then if you have a basic life support and then advanced life support, it varies. If you are using a ventilator, it will charge separately for the ventilator. If you are using oxygen, separately for the oxygen. Typically, this works out for the corporate hospitals. That's how they work. There are other organizations like there is GVK AMRI, there is 1033 by government also, which gives these services at a free of cost or at a very, very basic. But these ambulance will not have those ALS facilities like ventilator, oxygen supports, vacuum and all. So they will be most of the basic life support. In rural setup, what you typically need is, depends if you are catering to a standard village population, which is not like your RTS and others, then BLS is also good enough. But thing is, in an ambulance, the maximum cost comes of the vehicle itself. So typically, the ambulances which we have is your post-tempo traveler,
Right.
specifically designed for them.
Right.
So that vehicle itself will cost you like 15, 16 lakhs, I mean, or more than that. Then you have to refit the entire, there are no customized, like factory inbuilt ambulance. They are all customized. You have to do your customization according to you.
Mhm.
Then your stretcher itself, if you are going for a higher one, will cost you 1.5 lakh or 2 lakh rupees. So there is like 10-15 lakh plus you have to spend additionally on an ambulance. That raises the cost. So
Okay.
if you are able to confine all these costs, maybe using a second-hand vehicle or maybe using another vehicle, like there is one another by force, which is not so height wise, not so tall, but it's lengthy enough. Or maybe convert some other vehicle into this, and then second-hand equipment you can use for that. Stretchers you can have the used one other than buying a new one. That's how you can reduce the cost of this. And then another cost comes with controlling the ambulance control system. So if somebody is giving a call, then you have to have a person who takes the call and then do it. So if you can put it all on the app, so that it automatically runs and the ambulance is there, then it
Okay.
becomes feasible.
Okay.
But it's the biggest problem in the villages, right?
Right.
Because typically what happens is, I mean, another problem is that you have an ambulance in the hospital, the driver is Sarpanch ka beta. So he will never turn up.
Right.
The ambulance will be there, but they will be going to the marriage. They will be used for your personal. I've personally seen it.
Right.
So there were an RTA, there were nearly 18 people. A bus had an accident. There were 18 people flying out at the PHC, but there were 3 ambulances which were out in the field for some other work. One Asha has taken for the marriage, one other one. So they had to call the ambulance from the nearest district, which took another 1.5 hours just to come the ambulance.
Right.
That's a. So besides just having this infra of ambulance, there are many other operational challenges which comes into factor for all.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Ambulance itself is such a detailed
Yes.
topic. Like
Exactly.
managing ambulance is like a. I think that itself is going to be a challenge. Connecting it with the right hospital, with doctors who are there.
Yes.
Okay.
And those private players, suppose if you are living 200 kilometers from a city, so these private ambulance guys, those you call जो वर्षा में आते हैं ना या minivans, Maruti converter kind of,
Mhm.
they have their connects with the doctors, so
Okay.
they won't take you to the right place. If there is a road accident on the way,
Huh.
so the ambulance driver will have a connect whether which hospital he has taken commission from. So he
Okay.
will just dump you in that hospital, no matter they have competency to treat the patient or not. That is again another malpractice which happens in them for the private ones, especially.
How do you solve for such a thing?
And that's again a big challenge. You have to keep a track. So that's why the system has to be monitored very carefully. If there's a person within the ambulance itself, there's a nurse who can diagnose what the exact treatment has to be done. And then based on the facilities, the hospital where they're taking, if you have something happening like these are the codes or these are the services which this hospital can cater to, then only you decide whether the patient can be sent to this hospital. So there has to be a cross mapping with the patient's condition and the services which hospitals have, the kind of surgeons they have.
Oh.
We don't have this in India.
We don't.
No, we don't have
He
this
ju-
DRS system.
Sir just gave $1 billion ideas. Bhai log, you are all doing MBA here. Best idea ever. Ambulance mapping system for the entire country. I think it's amazing. How every second counts in an emergency, right? So you can save a lot of lives also.
60 minutes first, which we call as golden hour.
Right.
It's the most critical one. So typically in Western countries, if you go to Middle East, so there will be an ambulance to your house doorstep within 30 minutes. That's for sure, no matter wherever you are.
Okay.
What they do is they station their ambulances at certain places.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have this system too much in the villages or somewhere. Delhi, you still would have under the flyovers, you would see
Right.
1033 being parked. So what we have to do is within the key localities, we should have to place the ambulances in a way that the traveling time within their diameter should not cross more than 30 minutes. So if they are there within 30 minutes and they bring back the patient, at least the first hour they can start the life-saving support.
Right. This is actually very
The ambulance system, if you really want to work on, then you can go back and see the practices of Formula One International for the ambulance. They are the one of the best in managing it.
Formula One.
Formula One International.
Okay.
Because I mean, hardly in the history of Formula One there have anybody died other than one or two, and they have a very stringent emergency management system. So they will place their ambulances every 30 or every kilometer on the track. So while the race is going on, all the ambulances will be switched on. There will be geared up people, nurse, technicians. Everything would be ready in the time they go. So we need to follow certain time if we really want to.
I remember Massa when he got hit and his car crashed. I thought that was a miracle that he survived.
Yes, because 30 seconds they count for. 30 seconds, any crash, and the patient is within the in the ambulance. And then they have a helipad next to it.
Okay.
If required, then they fly him off to the nearest hospital.
Okay. Very interesting. Wow. Okay. That gave me a lot of context. Thank you so much. So, okay, guys, do you have more questions or shall we call it a day? Call it a day? Okay. We can connect offline. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Ankit Dash is my name. So you can reach out, and if you have anything you want to know, understand, feel free and brainstorm on anything. If you're working, you can reach out to me as well. So that'll be all. Thank you so much. Had a great session.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ankit, for coming over. We were actually planning to have this session online earlier, a month back, but then it didn't happen. So ultimately, it was about we were lucky enough to have you over here, and I think there are 2 more sessions preceding this one. So, a lot more to learn. I hope you all would have enjoyed the session, and you have food for thought for an entire day or maybe weeks to come for. You can ponder your thoughts over some innovative ideas. So, ultimately, what I could take away is entrepreneurship is not just about creating a $1 billion business. It's about making a $1 billion impact. And we should really think from that what we can do for a common man for the common problems. That's where the real innovation lies. Otherwise, more of the copy and pasted ideas, which we see for most of the startups today. I mean, somebody started Amazon, so I have Flipkart, then Grofers, then Blinkit, then Zepto, and all these things. So they address same problem for the same set of people, but largely the key problem which needs to be addressed are still not addressed, and that's where the management lies for you all. Since you are all being from health and hospital pharmaceutical management, so you have a larger onus to address these kind of problem, and that's where you should all be working on. So thank you everyone, and thank you Mr. Ankit for being here. Thank you. So okay, you all can break for early lunch today, and we'll restart the class at 1:30. Okay, and then we'll finish all the presentations. Okay, thank you everyone.